Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saurabh, and looking forward to an interesting set of discussions. You must be wondering why we started with a particular tone, which is Chhota Bheem, and it's certainly not youth. So, interesting aspect I wanted to bring back from Kama Sutra ads to the aspect of catching them young. A very important aspect of youth, which we forget today, is the youth which has just entered 28, which is now approaching 30s, probably will be early 30 next year. So there's an interesting segment how it has evolved, how youth today is also a father of a newborn, and how the choices in this space is also driving the important aspect of the target them young, and how these people and how these kids are influencing a lot of decisions in their space right now. Bringing on to the panel today, we have a really interesting panel today. We have Mr. On my left, we have Mr. Maninder Singh, who is VP of IamBesharam.com. As the name would suggest, a very interesting name. So what they're into, it's a very interesting concept where they're into their #1 site in India for youth wellness. So that's one piece that is very critical to it. And we will cover more as the panel moves ahead. On my right, we have Ms. Sonia Singh. She is Head Marketing Green Gold Animation Private Limited, and that's from where the Chhota Bheem comes from. We'll have more on Chhota Bheem, and we'll have more of strategies on how they're trying to target consumer young, and how they're targeting another set of consumers who have just moved from being youth to the start of the family. On my extreme right, we have Mr. Neeraj Kumar. He's a Chief Marketing Officer of French Touch Travels. Will bring some interesting sites, how the youth wants to travel, and what are the European locations he's traveling to. So he's a friend on panel that I would love to be friends with even after this discussion is over. So let's start the discussion, and before I start the discussion, it's a very important day today. Somebody talked about what is trending on Twitter today. So one of the things that is trending on Twitter today is Friday the 13th, the Black Friday. So a lot of myths and a lot of stuff associated with it. So I hope with the end of the discussion, we are able to break some of the myths associating with digital advertising, some of the myths associating with how to catch them young, how to reach consumers. Very interesting set of presentations by Sumeli in the morning, one of the best brands, MTV, which talks a lot about how to reach the end consumer, which is always connected, which is always present, probably always on the ETL, always on the small screen. So very interesting sites there. There could have not been a better ending to the second session than somebody from Kama Sutra. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Ajay, for bringing back my memory. That's one of the favorite ads. You know what? When we were getting young, we used to wait on TV late night when that ad will come again. So that's how we got introduced to the modeling industry, being in the small cities, and we never had the privilege of YouTube at that point in time. Some interesting insights there. I just want to start the session with one key insight here, and a lot has been said about it. So a lot of examples, in fact, what I wanted to talk about today has already been shared. Just setting the pace. What exactly is today's youth? Who is he? What is Indian youth today? So I'm just giving three quick keywords with some examples. Some of the examples have already been shared by my previous speakers. So one key point that I'm starting with is today's youth is fast forwarding. So hashtag fast forward is a popular key buzzword in youth today. A lot of example has been given in first panel. He wants everything to be delivered today and right now. You will be surprised to know that the amount of time it takes to book a ticket, a railway ticket and a movie ticket, as well as a train, as a plane ticket, has drastically reduced to 1/10. It's purely because of the fact that faster you are, the more youth you have, the more people will book with you. On the same lines, it's important to understand when the industry was hotting up, a lot of airlines were opening up, a lot of were giving them a youth experience, a lot of them flying them young, a lot of giving them Kingfisher experience. There's one key airline which is now the largest carrier on board and could actually kill the earlier larger one, is Indigo. And it worked on a simple principle: what do people want? And who are the people who are traveling? They just want it to be fast. They just want it to be on time. So that is one keyword. I'm leaving it here. The second keyword comes from the industry that I come from. I come from a telecom, and some small screen now dominates it. 60–70% people who use Facebook actually use it on mobile phone, never go to their desktop. Tablet penetrations are all-time high. From here onward, I just hope we get some smarter batteries, but we are getting tons and tons of smartphones. So in fact, Ajay spoke about how he's trying to target a lot of media into digital space. A lot of the content that is consumed, the AIB roast, most of the content consumption would have come from the mobile phones. The interesting aspect to note here is that while we have a lot of videos on YouTube, how many of us actually go and search for a video on YouTube? Anybody? And how many of us get diverted to YouTube from Facebook, WhatsApp, lot of us, right? So while as a digital campaigners, as digital marketers, as people from a specialized field, we create a lot of content. The most critical aspect is how we are diverting our end consumer. Where are we catching that end consumer and diverting it to that particular site or the content that we are talking about. An excellent placement of it at hoarding. What exactly it talked about, you will be talked about for good or bad reasons. But you could catch them there itself. That could have been placed anywhere, but a traffic signal where you are waiting, and that's there you are. And Kama Sutra is a difficult word to be missed by anybody. Like, it will always get the eyeballs. So the key word that I'm talking about is always connected. But with the aspect of always connected comes a responsibility of being relevant. So what happened when we talked about the recent success of Mr. Kejriwal, but we forgot that there was a success story with extensive media campaign. I was not able to buy a lot of advertising inventory when Mr. Modi was campaigning. Within a 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and approximately 9 months time, he could lose one particular election, that too extensively been driven through social network. Lot of exit polls were not watched. People are watching and doing surveys on their Facebook page, who's winning this time. So what I'm trying to answer is, while we go and try to answer the critical aspect, how to reach the consumer, the product experience over the months and what we deliver after we have his attention is very, very critical. If you're not able to deliver, I'm not saying that he's not able to, but if the perception is that you're not able to deliver, you will lose it in short run. The last keyword before I go to my stream panel for discussion is the keyword which says, I am the change. Another hashtag keyword which is very, very popular on networks today. Today's youth is responsible. The recklessness of 80s youth or probably the 90s youth is gone. He wants to be associated responsibly. The campaign which is regarding voting is a very important aspect, a very fine example of that. Jage Raho campaign which is a Tata Tea campaign about how women can vote and how people should vote is a very extensive, intelligent example of that. One key trend, go to your Facebook, look at how many people are running marathons on Sundays. I'm wondering how many marathons are happening. So suddenly the youth is not also responsible for the society, he's responsible for everything, he's also careful for his own life. He wants to have a better fit life, he wants to run, he wants to stay healthy. So that's another critical trend that brands can associate with and can bring a lot of difference. So starting my panel discussion, we will start with interesting aspect of how, what are Maninder's view on the youth trends and how to catch them young. We'll try to answer a lot of stuff from the audience. You are free to engage with us in the forum in between, and obviously we will be involving you at the end of the forum. So let's start the discussion on the key aspect. Our title remains Branding to Youth, How to Be Effective, and bringing Maninder on board. Please.
Well, I think taking it forward from where Saurabh started, I personally and we as a company feel that limiting youth to just age demographic would not be giving justice, because youth is, I feel, or we feel that youth is a presence of mind. You know, even a 40-year-old guy can be categorized as a youth because it's his presence of mind. He is living in this digital media age where, you know, there's a lot of, he is heavily into Facebook, he's heavily into Twitter, he's heavily into using smartphones and using other media content to bring his conversation and his thoughts forward to either a company, either his friends or whatever. So we feel that youth should not be, you know, limited to an age demographic. It is actually open and think beyond. Of course, it's not always, you know, if it's a youth, if it's a new company, if it's, you know, a new platform agency, which means that, you know, it is a mark of an innovation. Youth is not always a mark of innovation. A youth can take a well-organized, well-set-up product or a concept and make it much, much bigger than what it is. I mean, we can talk about a phone company which is called Xiaomi. It's a Chinese company. Every other company is into Apple, HTC, they are heavily into smartphones, but still they are able to sell so many phones just because they knew and they cater to the right audience. They knew, okay, smartphone is working very well in worldwide audience. Why don't we bring in the same company in a well-designed manner, a same product in a well-designed, well-packaged manner, keep the cost pocket-friendly, and then let's see what happens. And they have, you know, now a larger seller of smartphones in China, and they have heavily penetrated into India now. They are talked about in various newspapers, which means they never did, you know, they never went into heavily into social media. They never went heavily into promoting television ads, but still they were able to accomplish what they meant. So generally when you know, think of, okay, what should be my strategy to reach my audience, that should be the main basic question. Okay, let's suppose Kama Sutra thinks, no, I don't think so, going to heavily into social media will depend. Why don't I make people habit of buying my products? Why don't I enter the products where they are going to? So that way, if I go buy an energy drink, I say, okay, Red Bull, okay, Kama Sutra, why don't I try that as well? So that is where I think marketing these days should be, and it's not always, oh, everyone should be into Twitter, everyone should be into Facebook, because just having a Facebook page and not doing it properly will not solve the purpose. People are getting, paid likes, all those followers. You pay the media agencies, they'll get you likes, they'll get you followers. Does that bring you business? I mean, the jury is out. It may not. So technically, your campaign should be brought up, made up in a way that is talking to your audience in whatever way or form it should be.
Okay.
I can't agree more with what Maninder said. For me, Facebook and Twitter and social media is a medium which brings likes to your, which brings traffic to your website. But more importantly, we need to have a personal connect with the end customer. So as Saurabh mentioned about youth, he said a word called fast forward. What comes to my mind when I think of youth is they are free, they are happy, they are cool, and they want to be culturally relevant. So based on these things, I would like to say that youth is somebody who is very, very tech savvy as of today. Secondly, he is somebody who is actually very environmentally conscious and socially responsible. That is something very, very, that is of the educated youth I'm talking about. Third point is, the family bondings that they have with their parents is extremely high than probably our previous generations. And the reason behind this is that similarity in technology usage, smaller families. So this is something also that today's youth has. They take parents has a large part in the life decisions that any youth takes today. Then, they are not brand loyal. They want products which give them service, which give them value for money. They might be using a Kama Sutra today, but Ajay, they might switch to any other brand tomorrow if the product is better. So as you said, you came out with skin, which is very, very innovative and something which actually gives them a product which they want to use, not because of Kama Sutra, but because of the usability of the product. Then talking about, also I would like to say that they want freebies, they want discounts, they want stuff which comes free with the actual product. So we have to design our strategy in a way which focuses on these points. There's a thing called content and context. Content is the product that we have, but context is what does that product does to the youth. Does the youth talk about your product, or does the youth talk about things that they want to talk about? For example, using a lot of youth start smoking not because they in the first place want to smoke, but because they want to be culturally relevant. They want to feel significant. I mean, if they know the perils of tobacco, they would really not smoke. But they start is just because they want to be socially relevant and cool and be in the place. So that is something. And context can be changed, but content cannot. Context, for example, a car. Owning a car is similar. You give rights to your friends. You feel significant of owning a car. You feel independent enough. So context is very, very important when you talk about youth, because that is what will help develop your brand. I mean, for me, it's simple. You can't build your brand by forcing the youth to talk about your product. They will only talk about your product when it gives them something to talk about, things that they like talking about. And eventually you come into the fray because you are the facilitator. So, yeah.
So on this interesting note, I'd like to bring Sonia in, and she has some couple of slides also she would like to take you through. The important aspect, you'll be surprised that brands like ITC, HUL, McDonald's, Reliance Trends, Yash Raj Films, movie Kick, Singham Returns, India Wale, and the latest one Shamitab, which has I think had two Amitabhs, if not two Amitabhs, at least people with having two voice of Amitabh. Anyways, so they associated with Chhota Bheem, and it was a very interesting aspect that I liked her to elaborate more and probably take us through that how these brands have been catching them young in true sense. So let's get over to Sonia then.
I'm going to start with the bombshell. I feel brooming is the latest trend in youth marketing. How many guys agree with me? Yeah?
Yes.
Kejriwal move. We don't broom, but we certainly grew with Chhota Bheem, and I would request Anthony to run through the deck.
Bheem ki shakti, dhoom machaye, Bheem machine.
Thank you, Anthony.
So all these partnerships have been awesome. They've been fantastic. These ITC and HUL, Yashraj Films, they're all titans in their own field. And it's always nice to collaborate and you penetrate new markets and multiply successes. So it's like a happy marriage of brands together, you know.
Okay, so before I open the thing for audience, I just wanted to check that how do you see the trends in terms of in the industry changing when it aspects to travel, or on the whole, what is that has been changed, and how you think brands can effectively communicate with them?
Well, I think the traditional aspects of marketing has been although they reach the mass audience, but like I said, they may not bring you business basically. So that is where, rather than hoardings, people are now moving into making interesting videos that can go viral with their company brandings on it, or our youth or the target audience is moving around the country, is moving around the world. It's always on the go. It's always multitasking. It's always on his mobile phones. So traditionally, the ways of do the marketing has traveled a lot. For even a small campaign where I don't even spend money on it, if it's a viral video, I just have my branding on it, it may serve the purpose what I wanted to do with that particular aspect of it. So I think now, rather than just paying, like take an example of BJP, it promoted heavily. I am in Delhi, from my office to my home, I could see about 50 to 60 big, huge Modi billboards on it. Did that help? No. What did AAP did? AAP did, it went to its audience, it had a conversation with them directly, it was heavily into social media, and in social media, it never said, okay, we are the best, go vote for us. It always brought out issues. Hey, these are the issues. Now you think who is the best person to solve these issues. So just paying heavily into marketing, going to the traditional methods, maybe it brought eyeballs. Like I know there were about 50 to 60 billboards, but did that convert to a vote? No. Whereas that is why it has traveled a lot. Now I believe we can term it as smart marketing rather than just marketing. You can spend just 10,000 rupees and get a crore of business, and whereas you can spend a crore rupees and never even get a 10,000 rupees business for your company. So when you build a brand, I feel you have to see, okay, the mediums have traveled a lot. Now, where do I fit in those mediums? Do I fit in between? Do I fit, okay, let's use the latest technology and whatever, go big bang, or just stay mellow, just stay what is relevant to me?
I think the key thing remains to treat customer as intelligent. Today's youth is intelligent. It doesn't get attracted with fancy ads only. There has to be enough content to deliver. On a very interesting aspect of being bold, which was shown in the first session of the morning, what we would like to say as a panel is that it's important to be bold. And it's important to have the second point in mind, which is being bold and as being human has to concise. It has to coincide, has to come together for today's youth, and that's what probably Kama Sutra is able to do it very, very well. So on that note, we are ready to take any questions that you have.
I would like to add what Mandeep said. It's what he talked about AAP. I think that's a very valid point. What Kejriwal did is he touched the emotional side of the Indian youth. And that's basically emotional marketing, which is actually one of the most important things as of today. The research shows that the 80% of purchase decisions are actually based on your emotional side of it. So I think that is something very, very important to know. For example, Coca-Cola. I mean, Coca-Cola comes out with some of the brilliant advertisements. It actually makes you feel inspired by seeing those advertisements. And the connect that you have with the brand might not be just with the brand, but also the positivity and the emotional side that it brings along with it. So that is something very, very important. Just
so I think before I take a question, I'll just take Sonia's opinion on the something, which I saw in the slide and very interesting. There's Salman Khan and Chhota Bheem standing, and both their spaces, they are a big name. So in fact, in a lot of places, Chhota Bheem is called Salman Khan for small kids. So how do you establish, Sonia, this kind of iconic, and here it is important to realize that the Chhota Bheem as a character comes from Indian mythology. It is an Indian-made character. So how have you been able to establish such a reputation in that too with a segment which hardly speaks or hardly understands?
Chhota Bheem has a viewership of about 70 million people, and it enjoys a cult status. Kids like fantasy world. They like Superman, superpowers. So they treat Chhota Bheem as their own personal Superman, you know. So, so as to say, the content is simple, that works well with them, it's relevant, and it's immersive, it's kind of compelling, that works well with them, and of course the powerful laddus, you know.
Okay.
Have laddus and get going.
So I'm tempted to ask one more question. We saw excellent placement of Kama Sutra in a movie. You have a movie called Chhota Bheem and Himalayan Adventures. I could see it on a slide. I'm sure the brand relevance has to be changed accordingly. But are you working on those lines where there's a product placement?
We've done on our earlier movies also, and our new movie is coming up in the month of May. It's called Chhota Bheem and Himalayan Adventures. And of course, we are fit as long as the brand fits the and resonates with the theme of the storyline.
Sure, thank you. And we are open for questions now. Yeah.
One of the things that talking about is that today's youth is a now generation. We want everything now, right? So does it mean today's youth is they are impatient?
Oh, I think it's just fairly wrong to put it that way. You have to realize that what ecosystem they are coming from. They are not the ones who have waited for the Bajaj scooter in a queue of 17 months, and it at times used to end in years. They are not the one who have worked on probably some kb's data speeds, where the website, a lot of websites that used to open used to take ages to open. So you have to see in what generation that they belong to. With the memory speed that we talk about on a hard disk increases every 6 months, it doubles. The phone processing power doubles every 3 months. So it's not that they're impatient. The exposure and the expectation from them has drastically increased. And to cater to, look at the devices that are trying to gather their attention. How many devices we used to have when we were young and when we were kids? Today my son doesn't leave his iPad. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that it's very, very wrong to put it as them as impatient. The critical aspect to understand is that they are used to speed, they are born in a generation of speed, and brands have to evolve at that pace. And for some fantabulous examples have been shown from the market, how brands have evolved. From calling it condoms to the new word called hardware. It's so cool because it's that one word that people were not ready to use. And I personally, I have seen that transition from condoms to rubbers and now to hardware. And it's interesting, very, very interesting. In fact, that can go as a next hashtag on Twitter. I'm sure you'll be using that. So that's what I'm saying. They're not impatient. Surely not. That's not the way to respect your consumer. They are trying to get some money out. So, but yeah, they want things for fast, and that should be served accordingly. I will take panel's view.
Yeah, Saurabh, I would like to disagree with you. I think what you're saying is absolutely right. Today's youth is, today's youth is extremely impatient. If you remember that there was a time when WhatsApp service went out for 3 or 4 hours, and they were like on Facebook and shouting that, what is this? So they are very, very impatient, and they need their service every time and any time, and we have to make sure that we are there for them 24/7. They are extremely impatient. They are very arrogant. The arrogance that they have is actually a positive thing that they have that helps them move forward. So yeah, I would say that they are extremely impatient.
But I think that is what we as companies want. We want them to be impatient for our products. WhatsApp was down for about 3 hours or so, and it was, I believe it was the top Google search item. Why is WhatsApp down? I know it was trending everywhere that, okay, how can be WhatsApp down? Because WhatsApp is, for us, WhatsApp is like, oh, how can WhatsApp be down, man? How can their servers be down? So when we are showing loyalty to a service, we have other service as well. So in fact, WhatsApp couldn't have it better. Oh, guys, we were down for 3 hours, and the whole world is talking that how can we be down? That is where they were able to make about, 19 billion in about 5 years. Facebook bought them about 19 billion. So I think we as companies should want them to be impatient about our products. I mean, a personal example of, for IM Besharam, we are very aversive of giving discounts to customers because we don't believe in that strategy. Because the customer, we want to make customers come to our products. Okay, guys, here are a few products that you need them or want them. We are a facilitator, we're bringing them from US, bringing them here to India. So that would be the best case scenario for me, because they are coming back to me, yelling at me, guys, where is my product? I don't care, it's taking time to you to import, where are they? That is the best case I want from my customer.
Kids, just give a kid's perspective. Kids have a very limited attention span. So, you know, your aspirational value of the content should be there to keep them involved and engaged.
An interesting point of view from the panel for sure. And next one, please.
Sometimes over-promoting things like these movies, and it can backfire any company as well, or it can be negative as well?
Yes, it can. A lot of campaigns fail. All organizations are willing to take that risk. With all the research that are available to our discretion, a lot of research that we do, still a lot of campaigns fail. When I said over promotion, I said that I'm a product manager at heart. Digital marketing come as an end result of when you make fantabulous product, you need to have an end-to-end consumer. You have to have an ability to reach end consumer. What I always highlight, and you will find it on my LinkedIn also, is it very important that we don't forget the key aspect of product management. What exactly is product all about? It's very easy to get a customer on the product, but the sustainability aspect sometimes we miss. The engagement aspect is sometimes we miss. And as we move more into digital space and the advertising cost, even in the digital space, goes skyrocketing, which already is crazily high, it will be easier to retain customers' engagement who you already have on your Facebook page, already likes you there, engage that person on a regular basis, make him play contests and stuff like that, rather than getting a new like onto your Facebook page. So what I meant there was that it's very, very important to get customer the right way, but it's very, very important to retain customer. And at the way the movie industry is moving, it probably will be easy, it will be more cost effective to retain it rather than acquire a new one.
Also, it depends upon what category you deal in. For example, I am Besharam or Kama Sutra category, maybe over promoting will help, because there we are educating the audience. When the more education goes to the audience, the more people will come, not just to buy our products, but okay, you should be sexually you should have a good sexual education for your own personal self. So maybe for mine, I am Besharam and Kama Sutra brand, yes, maybe over promotion can work, but for some categories it may not. Over promoting Modi did not work for Delhi. Maybe over promoting for a Chhota Bheem would work, because there are kids everywhere, and you know, kids want that, okay, they actually make something themselves, okay, ye mera hai. So maybe if they see everywhere, they see him with Salman Khan, they see him in a movie, they see him in a Cartoon Network show, so there maybe over promoting can help.
Good or bad, it's a brand extension. You know.
What my take is on this is that, you know, over promoting is good. You can get as many likes as you want on your Facebook and Twitter, but ultimately, you know, does this actually earn you the trust of the customer? That is very important. So you promote it, over promote it, but have an emotional content with it. Make sure that you are actually touching the emotional chord with your end customer. That is what I would say.
I hope we have answered your question. Next one, please. So I will keep Idea Cellular away from it, and I'll talk about telecom on the whole, because there is extensive strategy that goes behind what we do in a telecom space, and I am not the right person to directly comment about it. But what I would like to tell you here is that how I used to work with an operator who was very new into the market, was probably the 8th operator to launch Indian market. And one fine day I was sitting with the digital team, and they say that we are the largest operator on Facebook. I said, how does it make a difference? You are the largest operator on Facebook. How does it make a difference? That doesn't mean that you're able to. But then we evolved, we studied it more, and now there are other operators who are doing well. There are a lot of operators who are in the social media space. What is the key aspect associated with being present there, and you will see none of them are extensively promoting their products and services. They're trying to engage youth on a brand level. So what it clearly indicates, and how we see it accordingly, is it's easier and it's more effective to get them on board through these channels. That's one channel that we have not explored. We were extensively, and the telecom has extensively been spending money on ATL, other than the FMCG piece, and now a lot of app space people are spending money on that. The effectiveness of campaign and the ability to engage with consumer, talk to them on a regular basis, other than for the 10-second ad that you give on ATL, is a very critical space, and that's why we see there is a lot of potential there. How we'll cash upon it? It's a longer strategy. It doesn't get started in a short amount of time, but to catch their attention is the key aspect which has been addressed so far from that aspect. Next one, please. The lady in the back. we'll go with the ladies first, principal. Yeah.
How do you go ahead and choose amongst the variety of options? What is going to make them buy
Yeah.
the product?
Yeah. So, we have talked a lot about digital marketing. Now, there is something called community marketing. You have to be present and do a lot of events, social campaigns, which will actually start getting you to not only like but love your product. That is something very, very important first. Secondly, today's youth is very influenced by anything social attached to your branding or whatever. If you have a social angle to anything that you do, if there are two products which are comparable on quality and price, they would want to go with the product which has a social angle attached to it. So stuff like that. For example, Procter and Gamble, they did a campaign for proud sponsors of moms. So that was taken in a very, very positive way, and it got a very good mileage out of it. So you need basically the customer to love your product, not just like. And love will only happen when you actually get down there where your customers are. You actually go down to the customers, not only to the virtual world but also the real world. That is something that I would.
Plus, I believe content marketing, if you talk about, it should be open, it should be free, and it should bring the communication what you want to. Even a negative content may bring your audience, or may get the discussion going on, but it should be free from. While you're making a content, you should not think, okay, how will it help me? Because then you're not bringing the right communication forward. First, you have to make the content, and then, okay, how will now this content help me? I mean, we'll talk about AIB Rose, poor guys will, writing some new sketches for their future sketches. They will have nightmares and, okay, will this affect me, will this not? Now that is hampering, that will hamper their quality of work. Because they are known to write, good comedy sketches, which I am not sure if they're able to do it now, because while writing it, they may think, okay, man, okay, let's not write that, let's not write this. That will affect the quality. So first make a content, you should be very confident about the content, then own up to it. AIB wrote something, they were owning up to it, guys, this is for adult audience. Thrice I believe they must have said it, that if you are not adult, go out, if you don't like this, go out, if you get offended, even slightly offended, then also you can exit. So make a content, take responsibility of it, and then use that content to whichever way you want to, which will help you either gather audience or whatever purpose you have written that content for.
So if I could summarize, I would say that don't skip the step. Content is very, very relevant. If it is sellable, it will sell. Subjected to you have a right eyeballs and you get the right eyeballs. But that some of us just skip that important element and we go for those right eyeballs and try to be there at the right place. The content, if has the potential, will be sold. People who challenge loyalties should explain me why iPhone is still doing so well in India. So there are enough examples and more which will tell you that if the content is good, you can bring a loyalty, you have a consumer engagement, and don't leave it at the acquisition stage. Engage throughout. And I would say that digital marketeers should be measured not only on how many eyeballs they get, but actually on the parameter that you said. What is the conversion they are getting onto it? And that's how the ecosystem will move. And that's how it will be sustainable in long run.
Also, I would like to add one more point. Don't treat your customers as probably a destination. Treat them as partners. There's something called crowdsource. You go and talk about the customer, what they want from the product. Take their opinions and involve them while you are developing your product. Ford Fiesta did something very smartly. What they did is they actually had about 100 youth and they gave Ford Fiestas to drive for 6 months. And at the end of that, one of them would win a Ford Fiesta. That is in US, this happened. So what they basically did is that they actually created the whole aura, the whole branding before the actual product was launched. So that's my point is crowdsource, involve your customer during the product development stage also, if that's possible.
So in interest of time, and a lot of my examples were stolen for the speakers before me. I don't want to steal all the questions here. So last two questions, I think we'll be taking one from the right. There was somebody who was raising hand, and I gave a preference to the lady. Any questions, please? Yeah.
So I have a question, and I really agree with one of the points the speaker raised was about youth being a state of mind. So I mean, you can be 40, but you can be active on Twitter and all of that. He also mentioned about viral videos. So there's a lot of buzz about this. You know, you have these really great guys like AIB, and you have these TVF, and all these people who make these viral videos. And there are new ones that are coming into the market really, really fast. Now, brands have to engage with them, and it's no longer cheap. So if you want to get somebody to make a really good video for you, it might actually become quite expensive for a brand to do it. But how are these brands, measuring what kind of business results that they're trying to get out of these, let's say, viral videos?
I would say it's very important, and I'm endorsing AIB again, and it's been one of the discussions, and somehow all the forums that I go to are rotated against what has happened in the last 15-20 days, and that's how the ecosystem and all discussions move. There's a very important interview with the AIB team that is available on YouTube. Please go through that. It's a very interesting one. What it clearly talks about, and what we saw in the morning discussion also, is that a lot of brands come and they say, we want a video media. So what you do is, it places a poster of my product behind the scene where all the things are happening. So, and that's how we want to make the video. But if you look at AIB strategy, and I'll take an example of a couple of brands here that they have promoted. One is one of this Snapdeal. Instead of talking directly about the Snapdeal, they made a spoof on Congress. That, oh, now you are gone, how will we make jokes on what? Right? So the brand placement, look at it, there is nowhere it was a Snapdeal video. If it shows Snapdeal video on the top, people will not go and click it. So very critical aspect is the brand placement there. A lot of times, that's the key aspect that we miss. As per the engagement aspect is associated, it is, we saw a fair calculation how Kama Sutra did a fair calculation of how many people, how many eyeballs they would have got by placing in movies like PK. We, on the similar lines, all the brands figure out what kind of eyeballs they get, and there is a certain percentage from the experience and the internal key metrics that we have, that these many eyeballs gets us these many conversions, and we use that matrices. I'm sure there will be some insights that others would be able to share on that piece.
Plus, now a lot of guys are coming into this because now even Google has started paying these guys not just for the clicks they get, but also for the content they make. Google is also now planning to pay them for the production activities and all that stuff. Just make the content, guys. We are here to support you financially. Why brands also look and come into, why Snapdeal came into, honestly, we all have also contacted them, but then what he raised the point was really beautiful, that you as a business owner should take a conscious decision. Even we never wanted, okay, just I am Besham, written on it, make a video, guys, it gets viral, whatever. It's not solving the purpose. They came back to us that, guys, we are writing us some content. Once it's finalizes, once we have something, we'll get back. Which actually made me their fan rather than they taking money from me and making whatever they want to make. So as business owners, you have to take a conscious decision. Okay, there are viral videos is a good way to go about it, but then you actually have to see whether it will bring me value or not. So just doing anything does not serve. If you have to think, okay, is it bringing me value? If it's bringing me value, then I have to think upon the metrics that, okay, how much money I should pay or how much pocket I have to get that value from them. Because if not, I think only Snapdeal and TVF did it with the Common Floor. So I think 2 or 3 have done it right now because it made sense to them. The TVF, show, I believe it was named as Permanent Roommates. Common Floor gelled in beautifully because it's a website where you, if you need an apartment on rent, whatever, if you're looking for a property, you go and visit them and they help you that. So Permanent Roommates for them was a proper marriage. But maybe me having a permanent roommate would not be a proper marriage. So value should be very important while you're thinking of doing a viral videos.
Okay.
I don't know whether you guys know this or not. There's a guy called Chris Putman. He actually had some of the features of Facebook, and he was called for an interview by Mark Zuckerberg, and he was hired in the Facebook. So basically, what Mark Zuckerberg says is that the company culture is completely the hacker way. So I just wanted to add this to the conversation.
Okay. The last one, if there is any, yeah, please.
Sir, actually, I want to ask that billboard, does that work for the BJP Delhi? Will it promote for the product
It does. It does. It is absolutely all form of advertising, as many eyeballs, various. So there cannot be one strategy for any brand. In fact, most of the brands would have multiple strategies across what is the BTL and ATL stance. So it really does. That's why they command such a price. So, but yeah, they have done fantabulously well in social media. In fact, look at the youth engaging in a fantabulous example. What are we talking about? Aren't we talking about India-Pakistan match? Guys? And you will pick up your newspapers tomorrow and you will see a news where Mr. PM Modi has called up Nawaz Sharif and he has called up Bangladesh Prime Minister, wishing them best for World Cup. So look at the key aspect, how they are engaging with the youth. So that's a very interesting example how this stays on, and I'm sure there is a full-fledged digital marketing team working there which is coming up with these crazy ideas. Just leaving on that note, you have anything to add?
Yeah, because of that, even now, earlier, everyone knew, okay, World Cup is starting. Never a channel used to promote about a month or 2 months earlier that, okay, making specific ads just to promote World Cup, which is Star Sports is doing right now. Why it is making sense to them? Because they are actually building an audience for them. Through World Cup, they'll subscribe to Star Sports, and then when World Cup goes away, Star Sports is already subscribed with them.
And not only Star Sports, we are talking about the World Cup, so I would like to say that the youth likes real-time content. For example, brands like Lays, they have Ranbir Kapoor and this whole World Cup thing as their TVC, and which really works. Not only Lays, but also MRF, a tire brand. They are also using this. So this real-time content branding really helps.
An interesting insight on this is that it's something that I'm sharing with you. This advertisement which has been made where the Pakistani guy comes out with crackers, and imagine that ad has been made by a TV company. They could get as many eyeballs they want, but on viral aspect, on sharing, on forum, on discussion, they're getting more eyeballs. A medium which is established medium and a mass medium going to a medium which is upcoming and very fast growing to getting that eyeballs. So very interesting observation I wanted to share. You have something to add?
Keep exploring and keep collaborating.
So on that note, thank you so much for being the patient here, listeners. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you so much.